speaking of Americans, Brock Boeser, he's a good old American boy, but will he remain with the Vancouver Canucks, or will he go to an American team? And Kyle, I want to touch on this because I wrote about this recently for Daily Hive. We touched on it a bit before as well. Which teams are most likely to acquire Brock Boeser? Brock Boeser, if the Canucks do deal him. So I'm curious, where's your head on this right now? I mean, Brock Boeser has struggled recently. I'm still of the mind that if they can get this guy maybe at like 5-6 years, $7 million, this is probably something that makes sense for the Canucks. Because of the fact that the playoffs matter this season, because of the fact that, he's kind of close to Quinn Hughes, but I am intrigued by a potential trade as well and how this could set up the Canucks for the future. But where's your head at on Brock Boeser right now before I get into some of the teams that could acquire him?
Damn, bro. I feel like we're going to lose all our audience based on what I'm about to say because we just won. We have a game tonight. We're supposed to be positive. But at the end of the day, I'm more disappointed in Brock Boeser than I am Elias Pettersson. Post break. No, for real. Don't these games matter? Like, don't they matter? You're in a playoff fight. These games should feel like playoff games. There should be way more brought to the table. And he looks slower than ever. Again, I know those first games back off of a break, and like, dude, we're human beings. Like, dude, when we go on vacation, we come back to work. Dude, when we go away for the weekend, we come back to work. We suck. Me and you are not elite at anything, okay? So it's gonna take us to a bit of time to round back into form. I get that. I'm just Kyle Bowden, that's just Trevor Beggs. That's the truth. But man, this is like what, your 8th or 9th year with the Vancouver Canucks. There's been so much turmoil. You've been given an A. You want to be here. Quinn Hughes is playing hurt, playing injured, and I feel as if, again, he should have made sure that. I know hockey's not everything, but for the team's sake and maybe his UFA case or whatnot, or maybe he just believes he's getting paid regardless. Like, he should have came back from that All-Star break, guns blazing, because again, the team needs him. So again, I'm disappointed in Brock Boeser.
Yeah, and I think right now you can make the argument either way for trading him or keeping him. I think, look, the goal scores are hard to come by. He's been a consistent top 6 player, but he's just a player that comes with flaws, and he's a slow guy in a game that's becoming quicker and quicker by the years. So, I'm honestly open to the argument either way. But if you do trade him, you do want to get fair value for him. So let's rip through some of the teams and see if we can kind of gauge what the returns might be. But for me, Kyle, there's 2 teams in the Western Conference who I think are probably the most likely suitors for his services. I've mentioned this before. Everydayers would know. But to me, it's the Minnesota Wild and the LA Kings. And, with the Minnesota Wild, everyone wants to tie that one together, but it actually does make sense for them, right? They are one of the lowest scoring teams. They're second last in goals scored per game among current playoff teams. Last place would be the Vancouver Canucks or the Calgary Flames. They've been flip-flopping back and forth. But Minnesota just doesn't score enough. And Kirill Kaprizov has missed some time with injury as well. And I think the argument's the same for both Minnesota and LA. It's like you got 2 fairly low scoring teams who, especially on LA side, I think are desperate to try to make a push to get past the first round and get out of the mushy middle. And I think Brock Boeser is a player that can make sense for both teams. Now, in terms of potential returns, Minnesota has a really good prospect pool. It's considered probably the second best prospect pool in the NHL. So I think they got a lot of pieces to make this work. And I think this is a situation too where, maybe they got a lot of players with no move, no trade clauses. Maybe it's even a situation where maybe they pay a bit of a sweetener to get Brock in the door, knowing that they can probably sign him long-term to that 8th year if they want to give it to him. They got the assets to make the deal.
Sorry, you're just lagging a bit for me. We apologize here on Locked On Canucks, but that's important because they could lower down the AAV, right? If they give them that 8th year.
Yeah.
And with the cap on up, like you can get that number to like a really, really sexy number. Minnesota's obviously always going to be connected to Brock. Let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago where we wanted Matt Dumba for Brock Boeser. Well, I'm not one of those people, but
no, not yet. We were not one of those people, but it was a rumor.
Yeah. How about this one? And I don't know if this is on your list, but how about Winnipeg?
I did not have Winnipeg on the list, to be honest with you. Winnipeg to me is like, they're still one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. They got a great defense, a great goaltender. I'm not sure, and they're pretty much capped out. Like, I'm not sure what assets they would pay to get Brock Boeser. Like, would they trade a Perfetti for Boeser? Like, I don't think so.
No.
But you got to sign him long term, right? And they already got a UFA on their roster, Nick Ehlers, who they're probably keeping as their own rental. Like, I don't think they need another rental.
Yeah, but I wonder how much. Like, what's Brock's value? Like, what is it? Is it like a first round pick and a prospect? That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Like
a
you look,
first and a
but like,
prospect, or a first and like a lower tier roster player. Like I'll tell you, for instance, one of the teams I had on this list was the Detroit Red Wings. And again,
mhm.
8 seasons where they've missed the playoffs. They're in right now. They don't score a lot of goals. They got a couple guys at right wing and Patrick Kane, Vlad Tarasenko, who one's a UFA, one's underperforming. And with the Red Wings, maybe it's something like a first and Michael Rasmussen, right? Michael Rasmussen has kind of fallen down the depth chart there. He's a Surrey boy. No, he's a BC buddy. He's a Surrey boy, 6'6".
I like that.
I think he's a player that the Canucks would like
Hmm.
to have in their bottom six. So I do wonder if like a Besser for a first and Rasmussen can make some sense for both sides.
Damn, there you go. That could be
Um,
something.
yeah. Okay. So that was three of the
That could be
teams.
something. That could be something. But you have 3 more teams to offer. Say on this.
Yeah, yeah. I was just to
Okay.
go say for more details, go check it out on Daily Hive. But
Okay.
I'll spill the beans here for the Locked On listeners. But so I had LA, Minnesota, and Detroit. The last 3 teams on the list: the Ottawa Senators, the BJs, and the Florida Panthers. With Ottawa, obviously, Travis
Mhm.
Green's there. They're actually averaging fewer goals per game than the Red Wings. They need more goals in their lineup.
They just lost 5
Um,
straight.
they've just lost 5 straight exactly. Like they probably need a bit of a boost, and it's probably something similar, like a first and a prospect. Although I do wonder if there's any chance there's like a Besser for Norris type of deal. I think the Canucks would probably have to add a bit. But Kyle, would you have any interest in that? Norris obviously signed long term, almost $8 million a season, plays center. He's injured often, but he can score, and he is one of Quinn Hughes' best friends.
So what? Like Ottawa just wants to get rid of his cap and doesn't want to continue to play him like eight
I'm
million
theorizing
dollars.
here. I'm not sure if Ottawa would do it.
Yeah.
I'm just theorizing here. Like from your perspective, are you intrigued if it's like Besser plus like a mid round pick or something for Josh Norris?
If my math is correct, Josh Norris is getting paid close to like $8 million a year.
Yeah, it's like 7.985, I think.
And he played 50 games last year and had 30 points. He has 50 games played this year and has 31 points. His career high is 55. He missed the majority of 22-23 with an injury. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's again. I mean, that's in the ballpark of what type of trade the Canucks kind of I wouldn't say need to make, but like a swing, a swing to
Yeah.
get better down the middle. And it could happen. And I guess you just have to ask yourself, would you rather have Brock for 6 or 7 more years or Josh Norris? Because I guess I just don't know what Josh Norris is. Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of film. We have to get the boys on.
Yeah, great shot. I think his speed's pretty good, but the injuries have been a concern for him for sure.
But,
He's been missing time recently.
But hey, how about this, right? You bring Josh Norris home and you keep quitting, he's happy. We're
Yeah,
better with our
exactly.
friends. We're better with our friends. Who we shouting out before we read a bunch of these comments, Trevor?
Yeah, sounds good. So I will say one of my last notes there on this. I mean, Florida Panthers, we talked about, like they don't have a lot of assets, but with Matthew Tkachuk out long term, they can make some sense. And the Columbus Blue Jackets are interesting because they've been linked to Besser already. And of all the teams I've listed, they have a ton of cap space and they got a lot of assets to make this deal. So if the Blue Jackets truly were interested, of all the teams here, they can make the best offer for Brock Boeser.